Throughout my lifetime, it's always been evident that majority of people believe that animation strictly belongs within children's spaces. But contrary to popular belief, animation has always found a place within adult spaces as well. While running my vintage cartoon series on TikTok, something I picked up on was the fact that a lot of these earlier cartoons didn't really seem to be targeted towards a younger audience, mostly due to the creepiness of them as well as them coming off as a little racy. Now, as time progressed, we started to see cartoons that would be geared specifically to adults. Some of these cartoons would end up having ratings even higher than an R rating. Yeah, I'm talking about an X rating. Like, whoa, that's crazy. Now, obviously, around this time, these cartoons were faced with extreme backlash and seen as highly controversial, so we didn't really see them in abundance. It wasn't until the late 90s and early 2000s that adult animated series would become not only popular, but recognized as its own genre of animation. Of course, we are all familiar with the titles of this time like Family Guy, Futurama, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force, for example, which opened the door to series like The Boondocks and Robot Chicken that we would end up seeing later. While all of this was happening on our television screens, there were also big things happening in the internet world. The early 2000s birthed some of the most iconic animated web series that would probably be referenced and loved for years and years to come. I wanted to make this video because I feel that it's important to recognize the contributions that web series like these have made to the YouTube animation world that we have today, specifically recognizing adult animation. As someone who has been using YouTube since the early 2000s, there have been countless animation trends, most that would be considered memes nowadays, that revolve around either quirky, repetitive, or music-based content. Think of Peanut Butter Jelly Time, Caramel Dancin', and the Duck Song, for example. But there are also bigger productions like the Gummy Bear Song and Crazy Frog that also blew up during this time period and are still widely loved to this day. Now, what these pieces of animation have in common outside of the fact that they are extremely popular during this time is the fact that they were very kid-friendly and thus had huge success with children. Like, I remember specifically having the Gummy Bear Song and Crazy Frog playing at my elementary school dance. These videos, these characters, these songs were widely loved within children's spaces and were extremely normalized around this time. The thing is, while there were these really fun, upbeat videos existing on one side of YouTube, there was another side of YouTube where darker web series targeted towards an older audience were thriving as well. Now, I will be the first to admit that I used to indulge in these series that were very obviously not created for a younger demographic, like Happy Tree Friends, Salad Fingers, and Charlie the Unicorn. But I highly recommend, if you are not of age, don't go snooping around watching adult animated content, because there might be something in there that is not suitable for you, that can leave negative lasting impressions, and nobody wants to deal with that. So please be careful and tread lightly. But with that being said, as an adult, I will be honest when I say that it was series like these that gave me an appreciation for animation that was geared towards an older audience. Like, I am a certified hater when it comes to most popular adult animation that's aired on television, like Family Guy, Rick and Morty, American Dad, etc. These sort of series have the same copy and paste formula when it comes to the way that they entertain their audiences that I just personally don't like. And unfortunately, it's things like this that have deterred me away from specific series like Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel, but that's neither here or there. Happy Tree Friends was my introduction to animation that took childlike themes and visuals and turned them into something extremely dark. I remember thinking that something like this was extremely taboo at the time. Like, the idea of creating something so misleading felt wrong, but also scandalous in this intriguing sort of way. This form of content grew popular because of its shock value. Viewers tuned in waiting to see the disturbing ways that the creator of the series would torment these cute and cuddly characters. Happy Tree Friends became an internet sensation, even developing a huge cult following of people who love to watch this cute yet dark series. And before going on hiatus, Happy Tree Friends was able to expand beyond the internet, getting the series put on television as well as having merch in stores. I want to say, if I remember correctly, that this was the first time that a web series had actual physical merch, and that's insanely cool. I'd like to believe that Happy Tree Friends opened the door to the idea of taking things rooted in childlike innocence and then turning it into something horrific and inappropriate. We would end up seeing ideas like this explored in shows like Robot Chicken, as well as on the internet in series like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, and also video games like Five Nights at Freddy's and Poppy's Playtime. But Salad Fingers was in a league of its own. Even to this day, I can't think of another series that has given off the same vibe as Salad Fingers. This web series was my introduction to obscurity, and I say this because even as a 29-year-old woman, I have no idea what Salad Fingers is even about. And I find it really funny because although this series was extremely popular in my middle school, I don't think anyone understood what was going on here, and it didn't matter because everyone loved Salad Fingers either way. See, it was not being able to understand this series that led fans to creating their own theories about what they thought the show could be about, and because of that, I was introduced to the world of fan theories. Being able to see specific forms of content form before your very eyes was something I didn't even realize was happening at the time, but it would end up being the thing that helped to build so many communities within the YouTube space. Watching a deep dive about Salad Fingers was the first time I ever consumed an analysis video, and honestly, it hasn't stopped since. Now we have creators that are breaking down movies, music videos, animated series, and even video games. Am I saying that this form of content started because of Salad Fingers? Absolutely not. But I won't deny the fact that it was series like this that made discussions around content that was considered obscure and cryptic interesting to me as an individual. As time progressed and we moved on from the early 2000s, animated web series designed for older audiences only became more and more popular, some even being as big as animated TV series. And what's really cool is we would see series dropping their own merch lines and even doing collaborations with big name companies. The bridge between television and the internet is quickly crumbling every day, and honestly, I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing because, in my personal opinion, recently it feels as if television is the place where imagination goes to die. But I will also say that I love seeing these animators being properly recognized for their craft at the same time. So it's like, what do they call it? A double-edged knife? I don't know, something like that. Which is why it's important that when we celebrate the success of animation on a platform like YouTube, we also give praise and honor to the forefathers that paved the way for YouTube animation itself. Not only did these series help to create communities within YouTube and further widen the scope for adult animation, they were also used as inspiration and motivation for animators who only believed that success could be found in television. As we come to the ending of this video, I urge animators, artists if you will, both young and old, novice or highly experienced, that on the days where you feel like your art just isn't cutting it, remember all of the animators that have come before you that have probably been faced with the same internal dilemma of whether or not they should put out that video. Think about a reality where your favorite animated series doesn't exist. That could be the reality that someone faces if you don't put that art out. And also remember that the world of YouTube animation is not a cookie cut one. This is a place where imagination is meant to run rampant. It's a place where a series about little bunnies being decapitated, a green guy obsessed with rusty spoons, and deranged unicorns can become iconic. As I was coming up with the idea for this video, I really wanted to focus on praising old YouTube animation, hence the title, An Ode to Old YouTube Animation. But the further that I got in writing this script, I realized that this video is not only an ode to old YouTube animation, but it's a celebration of YouTube animation in general, because we can't celebrate the past without celebrating the present, without celebrating what the future of YouTube animation could be. Whether a series is hardly known or well known, every animator, every artist, every writer deserves to be recognized for having the bravery, number one, having the bravery to put their art out into the world in the first place. Is something that everyone deserves praise for, and honestly, this has to be just an ode to YouTube animation in general. As the years roll on by and we see these series stamping themselves as certified classics, it becomes clear that originality, imagination, and innovation is thriving here on YouTube. So the only question I have is, what are you waiting for? The time is now. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know that you did by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications so you never miss a video in the future. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!